Hello everyone, SiegeLink here, back with Game 3 of JinLair PinkWings versus Snapback to Reality. There was a little bit of a delay. I'm not sure exactly why. It might have been maybe some stream issues or took some time to decide on a player. Maybe they were waiting for a player. Uh, but now DrunkCarbot is going to be facing LilzLot, Protoss player. So currently we've got pretty much all of our team here, but some people are kind of popping in and out. Especially a voice chat because I'm recording and then some person's playing. So um, in this case, currently we're 2-0 up, and I mean if LilzLot gets knocked out, there's two people basically that we're worried about, and which is actually why I'm surprised LilzLot is actually playing, because the two people I'm worried about is Xeno and Captain Canuck. If Captain Canuck, and most of my team's thinking that they're probably going to put Xeno over Captain Canuck, and if that's the case, Captain's not playing. And if Captain's not playing, that surprises me because I'm not certain of this, but in last JSL season, he 2-0'd every single player in the group stage except me. And I was super close to beating him as well. Like, he's a really good player. Like, I was actually really hoping Heroku would draft him and then end up drafting me. Because, like, I'm just going to say this right now. Me, Heroku, Warhawk, and Cap Canuck, we don't need anyone else. We can obliterate this whole team league. That we got one of the best Protosses, in my opinion, in minor league. Heroku has been improved a ton over the last year. He's one of the best Zergs in minor leagues, in my opinion. Warhawk also up there. Maybe not quite on the level of like Jaded Shard, but I do think he's up there. And me, not someone who's really up there, but someone that definitely someone who can be underrated because of my MMR. Because I like to play a little bit of a mixture between. I like to play like standard with a little bit of cheese, and sometimes I can, get quite cheesy as well. But I'm not someone who likes to go like 100% standard or 100% cheesy. Like I'll do things that a lot of people don't have not seen before, or a few things at least. So both players scouting Protoss a little bit earlier, which is I think kind of normal. So yeah, gas gateway for a bit of a Reaper wall. I'm thinking how many buildings it would probably take. I think probably just a pylon gateway and maybe one more pylon, and you could wall that off. So you could also probably wall off with a pylon gateway and cyber if you really wanted. Wasn't able to block that nexus, but I mean, nexus for cyber. Uh, this is something that I can quite easily punish, um, but some other people not so much. In this case, he's going to be going for a CC not too much later than his opponent's nexus, so even if he can't punish it, it's not going to hurt him that much. But in this matchup, Chrono over Mules. Chrono does somewhat of a better job than Mules if there's like no one trades, especially because Protoss units come mid to late game are just better than Terran units. You got Storm, you got Tempest that can outrange a bunch of units. Mothership Core can clunk a bunch of guys, and sure they're not like completely broken. Like they can easily like destroy the best players with like very little skill, but like they are still pretty good units. I do like the recent Thor change, though. I feel like the Thor was one of those units that was not really good for its price because it attacks both ground and air, but it doesn't do like an insane job at either for it, especially for its price. But with the recent changes, making them like macroable and or microable and not like super easy to like and not super easy to kill, he pulled his SCV down. I actually kind of would. I feel like if you bring SCV down, I would actually kind of like to see him swap, not make this SCV build it, but make the other one build it in case of another probe. Reaper sees Adept, extra gateway, and he's got a cyber core, but only one gate and just starting another one now. So it's not like we're gonna be seeing like two base blink or like Adept shades. So probably gonna see for what I've heard, yeah, he likes blink. So I'm guessing blink probably with a third base, maybe like a small blink push with like a third base behind it, or maybe a robo. Yeah, yes, okay, there it is, robo. So it's probably going to be blink stalkers with a robo for micro potential. Losing that adept's pretty bad. You're not able to keep tabs in your opponent, which is pretty bad when you're going for a big push. And to some extent an all-in. Like, no third base yet for Carbot, but if we do see a third base, this is pretty much going to turn into an all-in. He's got third gas, not making a fourth. I feel like the problem he's made is that he's okay. Is he going for okay? Looks like he's maybe going for a Nexus now. He's gonna build a pylon there, which is actually a good position to spot for any drops. You just boost over here. You can see it with that pylon. But yeah, it looks like he's gonna go for a Nexus. This is a really weird build because he's only on 2 gates. He went Twilight Council, then Robo, but he didn't even like chrono blink multiple times, so it's not like he has fast blink for anything. And on top of that, even if he did have fast blink, he's got 1 stalker. This actually kind of reminds me of that one other player from X Slaves, that Protoss player that me and Warhawk lost to, because I'm this is just my perspective, but I think he's playing pretty unsafe. Like, look at this, 23 armor supply to 12. Okay, there's 3 stalkers there, which are in decent position, and these are just Widow Mines. And Widow Mines aren't really that good at dropping in the current meta, especially since he's actually got an observer here. Also, 3 Widow Mines is kind of a bit of an odd number. It would be better to have 2, but it's possible with his build. I wasn't like keeping perfect attention on like his build order. It's possible he might have had the 3rd Widow Mine come out around the time of the 3rd medevac. I personally don't like that boost because it's going to run out around the same time. Unless you're just going to be scouting for bases, in which case that's fine. Doesn't look like he saw the units. And actually, that stalker's not moving in right position. I think he's relying on this pylon being able to scout like way before it gets to the main. But the problem is he's got only 1 stalker in position. Now it's not even in position. So it looks like he's just going to go for a bit of a push with the blink stalkers. But this isn't really like a push. This is more like just a poke. And turns out that's very lucky for DrunkCarbot here, because we got 3 Widow Mines burrowing and no reaction. 7 workers dead, and Widow Mines all loaded back in. Yeah, this is looking pretty rough. Now, luckily for him, he's building an orbital now, and it's not anywhere close to being on position. But I mean, he just can't push this. Like, even if he had like 10 stalkers, he couldn't push this. He doesn't have stim. I mean, yeah, he needs to blink into the main. That's his only chance at doing anything. But even then, he could just move his bio up, and he's got enough bio to be able to deal with him. Ooh, okay, that's big. Yeah, he definitely needed that. that was pretty much one of the only ways he could have won this. But looks like he's going to sacrifice his units to kill combat shields as well, which is pretty big. But honestly, losing those stalkers I think is bigger, because look at the army supply. His opponent's got a bunch of zealots which don't even have charge. Like, and a few more Widow Mines killed, but didn't actually do too much with them. Also didn't pick them up in the medevacs. Still got the observer here, which, even though it's in static and it is hard to see, he should know there's an observer somewhere in this area, so he should be going like this constantly to try to look for it, because it's not possible for stalkers to blink to an area they don't have vision in. So you should, if I was him, I would just be doing this and be like, okay, where have you put the observer? Because he should know there's an observer there, but he's not realized it. His opponent's going to Colossus, and he almost has a second one, but Colossus are pretty useless if you don't have enough bio, if you don't have enough gateway units to back them up, because then you can just jump right on, you can just split up your units a bit, kill all the gateway units, and then just target fire the Colossus, because Colossus by themselves they're a glass cannon. They have long range, especially with extended thermal lance, they have very long range, but they die very quickly to bio if you just target fire them. So you have to keep the opponent's units away from them. So Carbot doesn't realize it, but if he attacks right now, he's in a very good position. Personally, I would love to see him attack with 3 siege tanks. Like, 3 siege tanks at this point is very comfortable. I mean, I guess he's I understand, actually, because he doesn't have stem. And personally, I actually would not attack this. Like, I would see this army, and I would basically, like, check on my stim pack and be like, okay, it's about maybe 20 seconds done. I'm going to start moving across, because it's going to be finished about the time I start pushing. Because, like, you don't want to push. Even if your opponent's army is not that big, you don't want to push that stim pack. And yeah, that's what he's doing. Stim pack's 15 seconds away from finishing. He moved his units a little forward, but didn't actually stim them. Or didn't... Okay, yeah. A little bit of a pause there. I'm guessing he was just doing something back at home. He's getting concussive shells, which I really like. One siege tank back at home. It's alright, I guess. Where's his Marines rallying to? Is he rallying across the map? No, he's rallying there. He's just bringing those guys. Personally, I don't like that. Okay, well, yeah, I was about to say you don't want to have Marines just kind of go in, like, engage like 10 seconds after the engagement happened, but because he was breaking the rocks, he's given time for those guys to come back. He split up his army, though, so he's going to lose one half of his army and then lose the second half. He's going to kill basically everything except the Colossus, which is actually kind of fine. Personally, what he should do is just lift up and boost away, because if you kill everything except the Colossus, what you can just do is start making, if you don't lose any medevacs, you just start making double Viking, or in this case, double Liberator, and you're in a very good position. He did lose a little bit more than he should have, but a lot of units in red, it could have definitely been worse. He does scan the base. The pylon spread I don't really like that much. He's got double observer here, sure, but like I kind of like the pylon spread, but like, what's the point of these ones? This one you'll be able to see units before they come to you. Oh boy. Oh my gosh. Okay, he should know. He should know. That was very smart on LilzLot's side, because what he did, he knew his opponent was going to see that nexus, so he wanted to wait. But yeah, this pylon here is kind of unnecessary. I would like to see one pylon like here or something, as like a bit of a proxy on the opponent's side. The observer spread is pretty good. Usually I would love to see one like here, but double pylon there is actually pretty fine. I mean, he's actually got like perfect vision. There's very little area for his opponent to actually, go there. Here we're starting to see the engagement. Yeah, the observers or the liberators have to be in position, and his opponent has storm as well. This is another reason I don't personally like liberators against Colossus, especially if they have high Templar, because just storm once or twice and the liberators are just dead. Especially if you just like click all of them and they're like clumped up, it's pretty bad for you. You also want to siege beforehand. You don't want to like get into engagement and then siege up. Similar, like you don't want to have tanks at your base without guys. A few zealots for a bit of a distraction. And his opponent doesn't actually have, he has pretty much just Templar. If he got a Ghost Academy right now, his opponent would be pretty screwed. The Zealot harass is definitely pretty good with the counterattack, but he couldn't counterattack there because, this is a problem. He's got High Templar, which attack in Storm, but don't attack otherwise. Colossus, which are glass cannon, and almost no gateway units. So he can't actually really engage. Yeah, okay, he didn't actually realize that, looks like, considering the double scan. Ooh. Okay, he barely saw some zealots at the end. And this is again a bit of a mistake. Just having War Prism for this purpose only. Like, he could have had that. Imagine if he had that War Prism in the army, microing the Colossus, and this was just a pylon. Or heck, just make like two War Prisms. Yeah, okay, now we see the War Prism, but nothing in the main to defend. And he's actually floating quite a lot of minerals and gas, so I would personally love to see a sensor tower, like here, or probably even here. So that way he would be able to see these drops quite a bit before they were coming. He is getting a Cyber Core now, and no Fleet Beacon yet, so please tell me he sees this. Yeah, Widow Mines alone are not enough to deal with them. Okay, yeah, he's also not seeing these. And Marauder only can work, but not when the opponent but not when you got Liberators and Marauders, because you can't kill War Prisms in that case. And at this case, he doesn't even see the War Prism. He's got a few Marines, and he's got enough Liberators to the point where, because it's static and it can't move, he should be in a good position. But if I were him, I would wait for just a few Ghosts and then just attack. Oh, that was actually kind of funny, because the Observer was right above the High Templar. He actually recalled his Observer, and actually he can't make Ghosts currently. He's actually at max supply, so he really needs to be moved across the map before his opponent could get Fleet Beacon up and could get Tempest, because Tempests deal incredibly well versus Liberators. Liberators basically don't even become a factor then. It looks like he's waiting for Lib range. I personally wouldn't wait for 3-3. I would move across the map right now. Liberate will be done, but 3-3 won't be done. But with High Templar, like, you're maxed out, you need ghosts. Like, you either need to attack and trade army, or you need to kill your own units to get ghosts. And currently, this is something I very much dislike. You don't want to move across the map and then macro. You want to be, like, A-moving, macro a little bit. Well, maybe checking the base every now and again. This is another thing. I personally don't like him moving back because his units are very much out of position. And yeah, this is the problem. If you clump up your Liberators, Storm kills every single one of them. How many? He was thankfully able to kill quite a bit of High Templar. But yeah, imagine if he didn't attack there, and he killed this base. He floats this back, prepares, and then this base is dead. He's also clumping his units up quite a lot. Running is good, but you need to be running and pre-splitting. Ooh, he also has a medevac full of units, which he doesn't realize. It looks like as High Templar are at the back, and yeah, this is a problem. You don't want to be just running. You want to be running and pre-splitting. So he pre-split at the end there. He got a good chunk of value off of it. And he's floating a ton of money, actually quite a lot more than the opponent. But he didn't macro back at home at all, so he's just now getting these SCVs back down. And yeah, his opponent's just going to attack. He doesn't have ghosts yet. He also doesn't have, like, any bio. Like, he's not even making Marines. He's not using three of his barracks right now. And he's floating an insane amount of money. So pretty poor micro here. Also, only repairing with 2 guys. That's very bad. I would really prefer to see Vikings here because the Vikings could dodge out of Storm and they could kill Colossus before the units even get there, because Colossus are better than Liberators when the opponent has no anti-air. And his opponent has made, like, very few Stalkers this game. He's gone pretty much pure Zealot, Colossus, High Templar. And if you have just Storm, you can just dance away the Storms, but also, on top of that, it also forces the Storms away. So this was a close game. I think both players played very well, but I think that Carbot's problem was that he made poor decisions at the worst possible times, specifically clumping up his units way too much and not attacking when he could have. I think mostly because he wasn't, like, scanning enough. Like, there was one moment pretty early in the game where around the time his opponent had a third that he could have scanned and he didn't. And yeah, this is personally why I don't like Liberators. Because not only are they not of any help right now, because his opponent can just go away, but on top of that, Storm just hard counters them, especially if you, like, rush to set them up. Liberators can definitely do well. There was one engagement where he lost, like, half his libs and he killed half the opponent's High Templar, so that was a bit of a trade. But the biggest problem, the biggest turning point that game was he had his army mid-map and he was macroing on his side of the map when his opponent was pushing. And then his opponent attacked and he ran back to defend. You don't want to run back and defend if you're massively out of position. You want to run back and defend when you are closer to your base than you are to the opponent's base. Because what that does is you don't do any damage to your opponent, and all you do is get dealt a bunch of damage. If he attacked, you would get dealt a bunch of damage, but your opponent would also get dealt a bunch of damage. And the opponent might also not go for a base trade. They might come back. And if they come back, that means you're actually going to do a lot more damage than they are, because you were at their base longer than they were at your base. And if it ends up being a bit of a base trade, that can sometimes favor Terran depending on the armies. In that case, I'm not sure who would have it favored. Probably the Protoss, because he wasn't dealing too well with Storm there. And that's one of the things. If you don't know how to deal with Storm, you shouldn't clump up your units, because if you get stormed and your units get stormed, you run out, but that doesn't actually really do anything because the damage was done. What you need to do is you need to pre-split your units even when you're running away. If you run away, you need to be either just move commanding and never turning back to attack, or you need to run away a bit, then pre-split, and then engage. Because then the opponent has to use, like, 4 storms to be able to hit all your bio. But no gigantic mistakes that game. I think it was pretty close overall. And that'll be it for Game 3. See you guys next.